So I get asked pretty frequently what my favorite books are and just general book recommendations. And one book that I read pretty recently, and I actually had it on my list of books to read for a very long time, but I never got around to reading it until a few months ago. And that book was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And there's a quote. I don't think this quote is from the book. I can't remember. I don't think it is, but he has a quote and it goes, "Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you so you can be who you were meant to be in the first place." And that quote really stuck out to me, and I want to talk about that quote in this recording. I know that I posted a video on TikTok and I mentioned this on Instagram, but I was going to do like a special Q&A style recording for the 100th episode, because this actually is the 100th episode of the Presence of Being podcast, which is kind of crazy to say, but I'm going to postpone that because I wanted to get this recording out as quickly as I possibly can, and I probably should have asked for questions if I was going to do that Q&A a little bit earlier in the week, because I only really gave myself about a day or two to respond to all the comments and then make a video about it and then edit that video. And I'm trying my best to be more consistent with these recordings. I think I have been pretty consistent with them, but I want to try to release more than once a week. And I posted a video asking people for questions for the Q&A for the 100th episode yesterday, and that was November 13th. And I wanted to get this recording out on the 15th, and it just wouldn't have given me enough time because I have to edit this. Well, I have to go through all the questions, like I said. I have to pick out the best ones. Then I got to answer them in a video, and then I got to edit that video, and then I got to upload that video. It just would have taken too much time. So I'm definitely going to do a Q&A, a special episode sometime down the line, but not for this recording. So this is a quote that I knew I wanted to talk about more in depth anyways, so I was like, I might as well just talk about it. I know I wanted to do something a little bit special for the 100th episode, but that will come eventually. But yeah, before getting into this quote and actually this recording, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening to these recordings. It's kind of crazy that we're already at 100 episodes. I remember first starting to release these and realizing that, you know, I understand that a lot of people who listen to these come from TikTok, but I wanted a way that I could talk about the things that I'm passionate about, you know, presence, mindset, self-development, and do it in a way where I feel a little bit less restricted. And when I say restricted, I mean just like majority of videos on TikTok are like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes. Like a lot of my videos aren't longer than that. And I know these recordings aren't very long. My longest recording I released this summer, it was probably about 45 minutes, I think. So not too long for a podcast, but majority of these I think are anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. And that's actually like a nice sweet spot for me, where I'm able to talk about the things that I'm learning as I continue to build presence of being, different quotes that I want to talk about, or if I want to read from a book that I'm currently reading from, something that I've learned that I'd like to share, or whatever the case might be. I think 10 to 15 minutes is like a good sweet spot. But as I continue to release these episodes, I definitely would like to speak to some guests eventually and just continue to talk about everything that we're building at Presence of Being. And if that takes, 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, then that will be what the length of these recordings are. But I like where they're at right now, 10 to 15 minutes. If you like longer style recordings, then let me know, and I can definitely make longer style recordings. It definitely would take a little bit longer to edit, but I'm still going to try my best to release more than once a week, or at least one recording a week. But yeah, that's, I guess, just some housekeeping. I'm already like 5 minutes into this recording and I haven't even spoken about what I want to talk about, but we'll do that now. So I'm going to repeat the quote, Paulo Coelho: maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can be who you were meant to be in the first place. This quote really stuck out to me, especially right now, because although I have released 100 episodes, or this is the 100th episode, I know, like, personally, like, I'm taking steps, or I'm trying to take steps consistently to just continuing to build Presence of Being, and everything that I see Presence of being the lifestyle brand. Ultimately, I want and I see Presence of being a lifestyle brand. Practicing presence and being in the moment and learning to spend more time in the present moment is something that is very, very important to me. I've spoken about this in many recordings, but the more time I spend in presence, the more whole I feel. And that's such a powerful, such a powerful thing you can grasp, I believe. And it's made such a impact in my life, a positive impact in my life. And that's why I'm talking about it in these recordings. The reason why I started the TikTok, the reason why I started these podcast recordings is to ultimately build the Presence of Being community and promote a more present and mindful way of being. When we look inwards through presence, when we allow presence to be kind of like the doorway to looking inwards, we can feel more whole and we're more aware of our innate wholeness, I believe. And I believe that through the content, we can continue to build this community and promote presence, and then being able to represent that present lifestyle through clothing and through other mediums is something that really fascinates me and gets me really excited. And sometimes I feel like I get too caught up on the progress, how much progress I've made, how much progress I feel like I could be making, feeling like I'm not really doing enough to get to where I ultimately want to go. And this, by the way, is just me being completely transparent, completely open and honest. I just recorded a TikTok video. I haven't released it yet. I don't know if I'm going to release it. It's in my drafts, but maybe I'll release it. But I just say in that video, and I'm going to emphasize it here, my belief in myself, when it comes to like getting to the places that I see for myself, like I have full conviction, 110% confidence in myself that I'm going to get to the places that I see for myself. But if you ask me, like, how are you going to get there? I would not be able to answer that question. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. And I think that the how isn't really important, but when you care so deeply about something and you're working hard towards something consistently, it's hard to balance that, I feel like. And I've been wrestling with that for a bit. Like just not knowing how the dots are going to connect, but knowing that they will somehow. And I've been so invested in my own self-development for some time now. And ever since I started creating content like 2 years ago at this point, like I've thought that like I need to be somewhere by this specific time, or I need to get this, or I need to get that. And something that I'm learning, and this quote was a reminder of it, it's just like, maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Like you're whole as you are, and you're good enough as you are. And maybe, like the quote says, maybe it's just about unbecoming everything that isn't really you. So you're able to express your most authentic self in how you show up in the world and be who you were meant to be in the first place. And when I read that quote, and I read it multiple times, it's like, wow, like I feel like my most true authentic self when I'm in the here and now, instead of thinking I should be somewhere else, or I compare myself to other people. Like when I compare myself to other people, which I think is natural, especially, spending time on social media. And I spend a lot of time on social media because obviously I post content every single day. But it's hard sometimes when you do compare yourself to other people. to feel like you're okay as you are, because it's very easy to see what other people are doing. But ultimately, you just got to put your head down and focus on yourself. And when I practice presence, when I increase my time in meditation, I start feeling more whole, and everything kind of just dials down, calms down. I'm here, I'm now. I've done a lot up to this point. I'm definitely a better version of myself than I was last year, 2 years ago, or 5 years ago. And that gives me confidence. And I made recordings about this in the past, but if you're a better version than you were a year ago, if you're a better version of yourself than you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, that's something to be proud of. If you're a better version today than you were a week ago, that's something to be proud of. I just think that so many of us hold on to the need to control everything. And when things aren't going the way we initially planned them to go, we try controlling things even more, because that gives us a sense of like comfort. And when you release your control and you let go of your control and you let go of things that are holding you back, you can feel a lot of uncertainty, because you're releasing your grip, you're releasing your need to control everything. But it's just about embracing that uncertainty, Let go of the things that are holding you back. Let go of fear. Let go of comparison. Let go of regret. Let go of expectations, thinking that things need to go a certain way. And if things don't go that way, then you failed. Like, be open to how incredible things can happen in your life. Be open to the magic of how things unfold. Let go of approval. Let go of your need to satisfy everybody. Just do you, focus on yourself. Be here, be in the moment. Let go of your control. And trust that things are going to unfold at the perfect time for you, as long as you are showing up and being yourself ultimately. And just remember that you are not defined by your past or who you were in the past. You're defined by who it is you choose to be right here, right now, in the present moment. Who it is you are right now, how you choose to show up in the world right now, who you are, who you choose to be right here, right now, is what is important. Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you. Maybe that's what becoming really is. It's unbecoming. Stripping everything back and just returning to who it is you really are at your core and just being your true self. Maybe that's what becoming really is. Stripping all the layers back and just staying true to yourself, being yourself. So this quote really resonated with me and really hit home for me, especially where I am right now. Like I said, really wrestling the fact that I don't really know how things are going to connect. I don't know how the dots are going to connect. I don't know how I'm going to get to the places that I see for myself, but I just know that I will. In some way, shape, or form, like I'll show up for myself and I'll do whatever it is I need to do to get me there. And I trust in God, and I have faith, and I have faith in myself. I have that conviction, and I think just spending more time in the moment, spending more time in presence, and starting to feel more whole right here, right now, in the present moment has enabled me to develop that level of confidence. So if there's one actionable piece of advice, first off, let me say, if you feel like you don't know how things are going to connect, you're only really able to look back or see how the dots connected looking back. And that's a Steve Jobs quote that also resonated with me. Know that you're not alone. You don't need to know, I think, how everything is going to unfold. That's not really your job. It's just about showing up for yourself consistently and being in the moment and starting to feel more whole now, instead of comparing yourself to other people and comparing your situation to what other people are doing. Just stay focused on yourself. So the real actionable piece of advice is just, if you can spend a little bit more time in presence, spend a little bit more time connecting with yourself in the moment and being more conscious in the now, spending more time consciously in the present moment instead of thinking about the past or the future or comparing yourself to other people. I think that will really help. It's helped me a lot. So hope you got some value from listening to this. Thank you again for just being a part of our community here at Presence of Being. If you want to grab a hat and represent everything that we're doing here, and just the start of Presence of Being, you can go to presenceofbeing.co and grab one. Thank you for listening to 100 of these recordings. If you've been here from the start, it really does mean a lot to me. Cheers to 100, and cheers to 100 more and many more after that. I really believe in everything that we're building here, and I feel like this is right for me right now, and I'm just trying to be as authentic as I can be and build what I'm building from the heart, and doing so from the most authentic place possible. So thank you for listening to these recordings, and thank you for being a part of our community once more, and I'll see you in the next recording very soon.